skin. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free. We gon' break up, then we make up. Act like we're gonna be friends. Blaze the fire, take me higher. Leave it all over again, all over again. Leave it all over again, all over again. Leave it all over again. We gon' break up, then we make up. Act like we're gonna be friends. Blaze the fire, take me higher. Leave it all over again, all over again. Leave it all over again, all over again. Leave it all over again, again, again.
And all else fails, you do it manually. All right, so lovely. Things are quitting on me today. That's fine. Stuff just happens. We'll just go with it and pretend that everything's okay, right? Great. So today we are working on the Harry Potter Lego set, Hogwarts Castle, and I spelled it wrong in the title, and that's going to bug me for forever. So I have to fix this. Dueling, there we go. And let's just...
Hello.
Not like it's going to make any difference there. Hey Mama Bear, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Alright, we do not have the correct stuff in the bottom as usual, so I'm just going to hide the set logo. Where is that one? Lego, there we go. Set image is Gonzo, and let's rename the set. Properties. Give me just a sec. Keyboard's on the side. Hogwarts Castle. Whoa! Whoops. I cannot spell for the life of me today. Yeah, let's go with that. Alright. So today is set 76441. Our lighting is terrible. That's, yeah, you're not seeing things. It is actually that terrible. And, yeah. So I'm trying something a little different with the camera, and it looks like it's very sensitive. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Yeah, I'm normally clipping it to the front edge of my desk, but I'm trying it overhead this time, so I've got tons of space and height and whatever. And zooms and things are a little bit different than usual. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I would like to do this in a permanent sense, as in find a good way of doing things, but short term, I always seem to want to try something different. Measure it up, try something new, and it doesn't always work. So, although this looks great, it's a little sensitive. So, I shouldn't say great, it's better. It's different. There you go, that's better. It's different. Alright, I still have the crumbs I just wiped off. Actually, are not food crumbs, they are the wood slivers from last week. So change this to chat so I can see what's going on. No problem. Stuff happens. Ah, I see. Okay. Bot got smart on me. And what I mean by that is they used to have it set up in the chat window that I can pop from them. It's not see-through, so I don't normally use it. But they got smart on me, and they are now aware of what services I have logged in. They used to offer me, when it said all, it would offer me Twitch and YouTube. So I grabbed the one that I thought said Twitch, which turned out I accidentally grabbed only the events window, so not so effective. Alright, so as usual, we are using the Lego app on my iPad. And we've got free bags here, so we're not going to need the booklet. Which is great because then I can send this part off to Fantastic Sherlock Fox and he can get some points back. I have quite a mountain of those behind. So, it's going to be a little bit of a quiet day today, but that's okay. I'm just going to build anyways because I want to. You know, sometimes you got to do things for yourself. In spite of being late. That's the other problem, actually, was late. I have really, really bad sense of timing, but also that just when I thought I was going to get everything under control, I did not predict how good or bad my cold would be today. So I got behind on some of the setup at the desk here because I was busy coughing. It's a cheesy excuse, you know? Like, there's always an excuse. It's like a flavor of the day. And that's kind of rude. Okay, so first thing we're going to want, obviously, is bag 1. Let's go next piece. Oh, okay, we can see around the whole set. Nice. I'm looking forward to the center section. Okay, let's get a show on the road. Bag 1. Well, I'm going to bet, based on the coloring, that we're starting with a Harry Potter. So, let's do a little bit of sorting. Not a ton. This is a dude. Oh, we got a Draco dude in here too, so that's this one. Go that way. Potter on this side. Draco, Potter. Oh, Draco's head. Legs. I think brown is Harry's and black is Draco's, and they always give spares. One spare for me. I don't see a black spare. Oh, there's the other one. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Then we're going to have spells and things to work with, so I'm going to just separate some of these. We've got jewels and back set, so I think that's a spell starting. I'm not entirely sure. We'll find out. And then we've got some browns. Now, I saw a video the other day that talks about the best way to sort Lego. This is the Hogwarts Castle Dueling Club, which is not centered. That's okay. I wish I could just tell the elements of OBS to center themselves to each other, but yeah, that doesn't work. Not with my skill level. That's close enough. There we go. And I'm enjoying the Dueling Club already. Sounds dumb, but I've just opened the bag and I've already done it. Now, we can see this is going to be a problem, so I will do my best to try and not shake things, but if it gets a little bit nauseating, please do let me know. I was watching a show with video with Fantastic Sherlock Fox the other day, claiming to talk about the best way to sort Lego, and it was from a guy who had originally, like, he's a fan, clearly, but an adult fan who builds his own creations, and he also obviously does videos about it, but he has no qualms taking apart a set and then changing it to be something else, which one would theoretically say would save you on Lego. Looking at his collection, doubt it quite severely, but in any case, he was saying the best way to do it was to sort by piece, shape, not by color, and certainly not by color and by piece, because it becomes a storage nightmare. Now, I'd have to check in with Dadcraft to see if he would agree, but nonetheless, that's where this gentleman was coming from. So, when I can, I'm going to try and start doing that, but it's an old habit that's hard to break. I am very, very used to sorting by color with all the shapes of that color in the same bin, and that's not something that I'm looking forward to. Because we have so this is Harry and his face. Oh, it's a dual-sided face, so come on, look, autofocus. Ah, okay, too much. There we go. Better, not great, but better. There's Harry's face on the back, freaked out. And I like the printing on this robe because it's got both the hood and the regular part of the front. So I'm going to put the afraid face on here because we've got snakes involved. Just a snake, I should say. And as usual, it's difficult to see, so I'm not sure I will be able to get it to focus. Here's my hand. Nope, not going to happen. Darn it. But on the Harry Potter things, there we go, you can sort of see up in the cleft of his hair that they've got a cutout for the scar. So that was kind of cool. I mean, they've done that for years, but it's one of my favorite features. He gets a... Oh, looks like he's got a black wand. That's interesting. You can show me... Yes, I get that you can do that. Stop. Dummy. I've used this app before, but I had to do a reboot on the... Excuse me, I had to do a reboot on the device, and I guess that made the app forget that it already showed me how to do that. So it looks like we have the curve section. Oh, come on. Try this again. There we go. Looks like we have the curve section of the wand spell going backwards, which I think is kind of weird, but okay, sure. And I think they wanted a black one on this one. Yeah, it looks like they wanted a black wand on this. Okay. That's odd, because I thought it was brown, but sure. Yes, okay. Enough. Uh-huh, I get it. Stop. Seriously, bud. Knock it off. Okay. I don't know why, but you guys have seen that it doesn't always do that.
The warm August air was filled with change. Things were different, for Kayla was now blank. Fantastic Sherlock Fox says, personal.
I'm not sure that grammatically made sense. But thank you for filling that one out, Fox. I appreciate it. Okay, so we've got Harry with his little spell on the end of his wand, and now they want us to build Draco. So we've got Draco's torso and his legs. Yes, okay, stop. I get that. Uh-huh. You can spin the head around. Okay. I'm not sure what I did to get it to start showing me those, but it's annoying. Okay, so we've got this one, Draco also, and I'm going to show you on the screen rather than on the real thing because it works. So this one, you can zoom in. Oh, it's not letting me do it. Okay. You can spin it. Ah! Upside down, apparently. Okay, so we can see that he's got a bit of a grumpy face available, or he's got sort of a smirking type of face. And that might be a little easier to see than me holding it up, because this is not so effective. So there's his smirky face, and then there's his grumpy face. You can also see the printing on the torso and such. It always bothered me a little bit though, not just Lego, but others as well, have done... Ooh, the lighting is terrible today. It's bothered me for quite a long time that others have done, what do you call it? Brown eyebrows with such platinum blonde hair. I mean, it's not overly realistic in that sense. You know, you usually have eyebrows that somewhat match your hair. I'm noting today's coloring is a little washed out. Why are we overexposed? Priority frame rate. Let's change the exposure. White balance. Excuse me. This one? Fine. Oh, that didn't help. Your white balance is toast. Let's try it again. That's not bad. Agreed. Wait. Whoops. It's got a few things that I don't like about it, but that's okay. Ah. Come on. That's better. It's not great. Okay, and then let's go with a reset on the focus. Pretty right in the middle. Force the autofocus, right? When all else fails, force it. Alright, so we're a bit overexposed today. I do apologize. Not entirely sure why that is. My preview window is actually a lot nicer than that, but one of the things I'm doing a little differently is I've switched cameras back to an old one, and the reason for that, come on, camera, focus, please. Huh. All right. The reason for that is that, oh, there we go. That we can now, I realized which software I was supposed to use to feed it into the other computer. It made more sense. The other reason I've done it is my face cam and my overhead cam were the same app or same camera for a while, and then suddenly after a Windows reboot, the same brand, I should say. But suddenly after Windows reboot, it just went completely out to lunch. Utterly out to lunch. And so the resulting effect is that we have a really strange output. So it wouldn't listen to the correct cameras, it would be all over the place. And I decided, that I was just going to change it. And we'll just cross our fingers. We'll see what happens. I don't know how well this is going to work. But anyways, long story to say nothing much of a consequence. The point is I had to go backwards on one of my cameras, and I was starting to wonder if I should just flop them and use the other camera. Seriously, stop. Okay. Meaning as in use the face cam one for the Lego and vice versa. But it does not like being the exact same model of camera in my settings. I don't know why, but it does not. So this one. You're gonna give me the wand, I know. Yes. Yes, I know. Stop. Thank you. So this wand, it looks black as well. So I think then I probably could go with the original plan. I'm gonna make Draco black just because I don't like Harry's being black. I don't know why. It's just a thing that the good guys never got the black wands. It's sort of like when you watch an old movie western. The black hats were always the bad guys. You could get a good guy in a gray hat, and usually a fairly medium gray hat, not a dark one. But you could never usually get a bad guy in an old western in a black hat. It just was not a thing. And it looks like we've got a spare of the gem, but not a spare of the circular section, which is sort of an odd situation. I don't know why you would do that, but okay. So now we've got Draco and Harry ready to face off, so that's good. We'll set them aside for a moment or two. And see what the thing wants next. Oh, I guess I could take my watch off. You guys don't need that flashing the light every once in a while. Okay. Really? I'm serious. This. I don't know how hard that was. Go Lego go. Okay, it goes with Draco. Great. Okay, let's get on to real stuff. Spare gem. Stop showing me that. Alright, so we've got this, and we've got one of these 3 pieces. There we go. And another one on the opposite side. Get the long one. Put this one underneath. And the last 2 here. So then we've got our runway. One of the other reasons I'm trying an overhead cam as opposed to an over my shoulder is there's slightly less chance for my hands to get involved or in front of things, because here they're flat, right? But you guys can, you can sort of see down towards me, that way. There you go. And we'll see if that does better. I can make the camera a bit stiffer if I like the position, but it's mounted right now to my monitor stand, which when a monitor wriggles, you don't necessarily notice it nearly as much, but the bar I'm using to hold the camera still is not perfectly stiff. It's designed as a flexi arm, so you just grab it and move it around and bend it. And I think if I like this position, I know another setup that we do already own the bits and bobs. Sorry, I've got a hair on my arm. Tickling me. The bits and bobs of the hardware to make it happen. So I think I know what I'm going to do. It's something I wanted to do for a while. I just couldn't get it to work. So I may need to practice mounting it a little bit after stream. All right, so we are just in here. So we're working on the mechanism, I believe, that will allow Harry or Draco to win their duel. So it is a playability element in this one. You like this camera so far so good? Great. I'm going to try and play a little bit more with the lighting and the colors. What I'm seeing here appears that my monitor that I'm looking at, it must be set for gaming stuff right now because it's not giving me the same color setup as the OBS settings. So we'll have to see how well that works. But if I use a slightly stiffer arm, then it probably shouldn't wriggle quite as much. But yeah, so we're working on the mechanism that lets Draco beat Harry, or Harry beat Draco. It's kind of cool that they had included the snake. I mean, it's important to do so in the story, but oops, I got him upside down. It's a small snake, which I like the small ones as opposed to brick built. But they have no way to actually cast it, which is kind of nice. And not that we need to. Okay, but a lot of blinky blocks. Oops, pull these over here. There we go. So a lot of blinking blocks. It's these weird ones where it's like a. You see the shapes taller where it's solid on the side. These ones have a big slot in there, so something's gonna be sliding. And then the studs on the top are actually kind of unique because they seem to be hollow. I'm not entirely sure what the point is to that. I suspect there was a reason for it in another set, and it's been repurposed and potentially recolored. I will say I give LEGO a lot of credit for when they figure out how to use a piece, but it's like, I love this piece. I just wish it was in X other color. Well, voila, here you go. It's now in another color. And I don't know who comes up with those, whether it be the brick guys or whether it be whether it be the LEGO side or whether it be the my own creation fans.
Hey kids, I'm Sensei Todd. Today I'm gonna teach you how to defend
Sensei
yourself
Todd.
against blank.
Fox, I think that one might be hearkening back to an old Monty Python sketch where John Cleese is teaching people how to defend themselves against someone coming at them armed with a fruit. And it could be a banana or like a basket of blueberries. And somebody's like, what if it was a basket of raspberries? But that one ends a little bit on the violent side. Okay, so let's see if we do this without getting more of the... Ooh, bag 2 already. Okay, today will be a very speedy build apparently. Let's get bag 2. Here's bag 2. And of course, it's going to explode. So we're going to have ours explode. Maybe. Maybe not. There we go. Okay, so we've got some more sorting to do. Not bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see I've got a habit where I still want to do all the same color together, but I'm trying to get better at this. Obviously you want all the same piece to go together. 2. What is this? It's a song called I can't pronounce it, so F-O-U-H, Who, I guess? By an artist called 12. And it just briefly, there was a section in there that reminded me very, very strongly of a song by another artist I really enjoy called Ray Lynch, which is sort of a new agey type artist. And I was going to say that nobody's been emulating that guy, but it's actually not only have they been emulated, his music has been sold to be used at Disney parks. And I've heard it on Sorcerer Radio. So yeah, not exactly unique anymore, but that's fine because, you know, people have to make a buck. And I don't think he lowered himself by letting Disney parks use his music. I actually think that it makes it more available to the community.
Hey kids, I'm Sensei Todd. Today
because,
I'm gonna
course,
teach you
when
how to defend yourself against blank. Fantastic Sherlock Fox says, the dark arts.
Alright, close enough, I think. There we go. Okay, so now we can build the next section. I suspect a lot of these other colors are supposed to be referencing the other houses. I'm going to show you this one, or build it and then try and show it up close. We'll see if camera wants to cooperate. I did try in my experiments using one of the brick separators. Sorry, my kids call them fixer sticksers. But it does not autofocus correctly when I do so. And I have shadows galore today. What the heck? That's not great. As you can see, my overhead light is causing... I've got a double hand. We'll have to see how that works. I'm doing a lot of the no-nos that they say about streaming or making content is not have an overhead light over your shoulder, but, you know, not much we can do. Okay, so for the dual faces, and they're going to show it, not the dual face here. Okay, so let's do this. Actually, can I do it the other way? That's better than mine. Okay, so if I, just before Snape puts his hair on, you probably can't see it all that well in this shot, but on his arm, he's got some really nice printing. And I like that. It's definitely looking really cool in the way, even the one that I got, it came out nicely. And then on the back, he's got his grouchy face. So in the movie shot, Snape is kind of unimpressed with Lockhart, and Lockhart picks Harry, and then Snape wants to suggest someone from his house. So of course, he picks Draco. And then, of course, as things go on, Lockhart's being a bit of a dip, so Snape gets ticked off and shows him the what for. But also, he's kind of annoyed when Harry manages to save the day at the end. So let's go with the unimpressed Snape. I may have to change his face up depending on what I've got for Snape figures elsewhere. It doesn't show well on the directions there, so I'm going to try and give you a close-up after I get the face on, or sorry, hair on, because there is an element that I wanted to point out. So not only do we have the good printing on the back, but we've also got a silver on the front where you can see more of the detail. So you can see that doesn't come out great in the directions because we just couldn't get the lighting. There you go. So I love that level of detail that's in this one. And I'm assuming there's going to be an equally good level of detail in Lockhart, but we'll have to see when we get there. One of the things that I do find interesting is that the edges of the robes do match up at the bottom of his vest. Or what do they call them overseas? I can't remember. But it doesn't look like it when you actually hold the Lego together. Like it almost looks like they mismatched them. It's sort of a weird look. Yeah, it is really neat. I like that part. Okay, so I'm assuming he's got a black wand, and I'm going to skip that because once again, it's the wand types I usually lose. I guess I need it if I'm going to be doing the story part, so let me just swap wands to the ever-growing wand box. I've got a loose one in here somewhere. There it is. Yeah, this box, I could have got one 3D printed. I didn't think about it at the time, but this is just one of those ones you buy at like Home Depot for storing your nails and screws and so forth. And excuse me. So I've definitely got that going for me. There's Snape with his little wand. So that's what I've got for those boxes. I got another box I picked up at a dollar store for some further sorting because the one I used earlier is now full. Right, the other one's now full, and I don't have the space to sort by shape in this room. I've had some suggestions of storage systems that might work for that, but not something that my room has a whole lot of space for at the moment. Because we're going to be building a small section, so I'll set this slider section aside across the top. Just go up here. There we go. Need this. One of these. There we are. I can probably come in just a bit closer. Let's try that. See? There. That's better. So we won't always be zooming in like that, but I can get a lot closer with this software setup than I could before. It's the same camera, but if I use the built-in zooms on OBS, it doesn't actually let me in as far because it doesn't have the brains to interpolate when you get to digital zoom. Okay. So it looks like it was just being a tool, or the software was just being a tool for the intro stuff. I hope it won't do that to all our builds because that's kind of annoying. But, where's it going with that? But yeah, we can zoom in better and so forth on the current setup. It's not as smart as the previous one, but then again, none of the cameras these days are designed to follow your hands. It would be nice if one of them had the brains to do so. As I understand it, there are quite a number of gamers and such that would like that to be the thing. Part of it is because when gaming, I guess there's I don't know if it's a phase going around or what it is, but more of an esports type behavior where some gamers want to be able to show off their mouse and keyboard hands or their controller hands because proving they're actually pressing the buttons and not using cheaty macros to press buttons for them apparently is quite important to some gamers. I'm not quite sure what the environment is for that. It's just something I was reading about. But I'm hoping that technology gets better because that can be used then for crafters who want to actually have it follow our hands when we do different things, right? Because of the shaping of hands, sometimes you'll get it to follow correctly, but most of the time it's a massive fail. Yeah, just a few builds. Well, I have shown you the back of my room, haven't I? Let's see. Chat. Where's the chat window? Chat. Okay, I'm going to... Oh, sorry. I moved my microphone. There we go. And I couldn't see past it. Okay, let's see. Properties. Nope, not that one. Yeah, it's chat background. Okay. So we're going to just turn off a filter for a second here. Filters. The mess in my room. There you go. So yeah, just a little bit of Lego. Just a bit. Alright, let's put that back on. And get back to Lego. Oh, I didn't even show you guys that. Duh. I turned it on for me, and then I didn't show you. Let's go here. There. So now you guys can see the mess in my room. And that is just a few builds of Lego. Not everybody has wands, but there's an awful lot of wands that come through that. And you're not even seeing the bit above the top level of the chat edge. There's actually a whole bunch of castles up there. It's just that my camera doesn't focus well on me because that whole top section. Yeah, there's a bit, just a bit of Lego. All right, so let's get back to Lego. I need to do an update. Hopefully, cross my fingers, I'll be able to get myself organized this week and actually rearrange some of that room. I'm planning to try and move things around in such a way that I have another desk in the room, and I'd like to try and see if I can organize it so that I can get myself a quasi-usable space. I mean, it is usable on the other side of the room, but not for the stuff I've been doing lately. And my idea is potentially to get it set up so that I can put this mat on that table. This is actually a crafting mat, and then use the crafting mat for, go figure, crafts. But also, it would be kitty corner to this desk that I'm using now, in such a way that I might be able to leave some of my crafting and building setup in place, which would involve a whole lot more camera movements and whatever. But getting some of that somewhat in place might make the setup a little bit speedier, and then I don't have this thing going on, because it would be attached to a desk that's far more stable. When you picture it, actually, the story behind this other desk is... I can't remember which birthday it was, whether it was junior high or whether it was elementary. I think it was junior high, where I was half awake at some weird hour in the middle of the night, and I remember my parents made me clean my room the night before, but it was like for my birthday. I'm going, what the heck? You know, why are you making me clean my room before my birthday? I'm not like I'm having any friends over, just because I wasn't having a party that day. And I remember being half awake in the middle of the night, because I was groggy, and my parents came into my room and were doing something, and it's big, noisy, moving stuff around. And you would think you'd do this while your kid's out of the room, but whatever. So they were moving things around in my room in the middle of the night, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I woke up in the morning, and I had a desk. Now, Fantastic Sherlock Fox would understand that was a bit of a feat, because he knows how, I mean, I sleep through almost anything, but the thing is, he knows how big and how ridiculously heavy this desk is, because it's made out of I think it's particle board mostly, so those are not light. And what I call Mac tack, but it's the sticky tack type of stuff that gives you a full wood grain on the top. So it's got that 2 cupboards on either side and a hutch on the back, like Now, thankfully, the hutch comes off for moving things, but even the main base of the desk is huge. Yeah, it's huge, and it's particle board. I love it. I destroyed, well, I shouldn't say destroyed. The desk drawer has come apart enough times that I don't currently have it in there, and I want to replace it with a keyboard tray because it was front and center. And if I do that with a keyboard tray, then that slightly modernizes the desk, because then a keyboard tray could hold either, a keyboard, and we don't actually have a hole in the back for cables, but the way the hutch slides, comes off, we can leave a gap for cabling down the back. The shelving gets in the way, but if I do it with a keyboard tray, then I can put a laptop on that space. This slides in here, so this is going to be part of the mechanism that allows the other person or other team to win, I believe. This part seems to be fairly solid. Once we get it sandwiched in, it's not going to move, so I'm not entirely sure. Oh yeah, there we go. So it might get stuck. Well, hopefully it won't, but we'll have to see how they do that. This part will slide in and out. I'm assuming there's going to be another half that comes up the other way, but yeah, we'll have to see. It keeps getting stuck in this little gap in the middle. So anyway, that's what my parents did in the middle of the night. And when I was probably, grade 7, I guess. So that's a good number of years ago, and this thing has been through a lot. Moves. I think actually we got lucky when our apartment, or our condominium flooded after I moved out of home. And, excuse me. Oh, now we have the other side. Yay! So we got lucky, and I don't think it got too damaged. I can't remember where in the house or in the condo it was, but it definitely was wet. So I was worried I was going to lose it. But now that I've destroyed the keyboard, or the drawer to make it a keyboard tray area, it wasn't intentional, just the number of times the drawer fell apart. And so I'm thinking I might use it for that. But as I said, I can use it for crafting space, potentially. So we'll see how it goes. Nice part about the hutch, too, is it gives me a few more mount points for things like cameras. So we'd have webcams and stuff, but I wouldn't have any of my, preview screens and stuff on there. But that's not necessarily a big deal. I can use a Microsoft Surface for that. That'll sit on the shelf. We are technology spoiled in this house because both Fantastic Sherlock Fox and I came up through technology careers, or well, jobs, I guess. And I've almost always been a technology nut for years and years. I love tech, It's one of those things I'm not very good at, but I love it. And so I grew up on Macintoshes. Yee! And then I was going over to college. And they said everybody has to be able to have a computer to be able to type their assignments. So I thought, okay, well, I don't know what my parents are going to do. Maybe you could rent them from the school, etc. Nope, I got my first Windows 95 machine, which is cool. But then I started learning about the insides. And a friend of mine, before I went south for a bit, and I don't mean south to the US, I mean south as in to the south part of Alberta. A friend of mine helped me upgrade it to Windows 98. But we talked about the insides. I don't think I did any physical upgrades. I might have added some memory. I don't recall. But anyway, so I did that. I started learning about those parts. And my father had always been one of those people, even though we grew up on Macs in our house, he started with a Commodore 64 in our house. And I remember that clearly, because I was doing some stuff on it, but it was his business machine, so I wasn't supposed to touch it without permission. But anyways, he'd always been one of those kind of guys who did all his own soldering and wiring and stuff in the house. Not electrical wiring, pardon me, but speaker wiring and such, and would build all the required parts. So, we knew Radio Shack and our local one like the back of our hand. And so I was always good at that. And then when we started doing, when I started getting into the insides of computers, and no, I'm not going to get super nerdy on you, but I started getting to the insides of computers, then it became one of those things that just made sense. I understood this goes on to that, plug this little pin on the other thing. Like, I got that part. And when it came to in high school doing the physics part, where you start with the electricity unit, and they talk about ohms and they talk about resistors and all kinds of things like that, and you're doing your math on it, I was actually excited because I could finally figure out the math in behind why some of the stuff that we did at home worked. And that really impressed me. I was never one of those kids who, like, took apart your toaster or something. Part of it was because my parents had actually managed to find television shows where other people had done that and walked you through it. So anyhow, this one goes the other way. Okay. This way, assuming it sits in. Huh. Okay, so I think I did something. Maybe I did it right, maybe I did it wrong. Set this one in. Okay, so these two ride on top. That's how it's not going to get stuck. I see. Okay. Because when they go in, they ride on top of each other. So, long story made short. Well, actually, there isn't a long story made short. Making short is not my forte. But anyway, so I learned about electronics early, and therefore the insides of a computer didn't bother me. And the nice part about Windows machines is that the non-laptop versions, of course, you could take them apart. Or you could open up the panel on the side and see things. It's not necessarily knowing how all the magic worked in the box, but you got the general gist of it. With this, there's going to be more to it because this is fully pushed in, but when they actually have an issue, it pops one of them out. So there's more to it than this, for sure. Bag 3, okay, I guess that part's spare. We end up rocketing through these and we're done really fast. I have a pair of brick heads, so we're going to swap over to that. I'm going to set this up here and pull out. We can sort before we explode the thing. Okay. So I'm trying not to spoilerific some of the best parts, so I'm just going to try and grab them up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, where's his hair? There we go, 5. We'll set that up under the screen. And face down those, because I'm looking forward to them, so I'm going to try and not spoil them too much for myself. 1, 2, 3. That's regular bits. We're okay with that. I'm okay with that. Let's put this one over here. I hope I don't do a Duelling scan as we go through this. Meaning, wondering what part is what and what I'm looking for, simply because I put them face down. I've done that on occasion, and it's kind of frustrating. Oops, let's go over here. Split the colors, right? We're working on that? Okay. Black over there. So, anyways, with this computer story, suffice to say, all through college, I didn't mess with a ton of things. I did get permission to freeload on my resident assistant's unlimited dial-up internet, and yeah, that may not have been a good thing for my educational experience, but you know, everybody has to make mistakes. I mean, hey, could have been, well, we'll say it could have been drugs, but that's a whole other story for another day, because that's not something super family friendly. But suffice to say that, oop, I'm spoiling that. I don't want to do that. Suffice to say that it was a weird time, and school didn't go great. I found out years later why, but that's neither here or there at the moment. So when I came back, I ended up, after some ups and downs, getting a job in tech support, where with some of the skills I had, I ended up also working on what we called tech bench. Basically, you know, when you have somebody, quite literally, take your computer apart and try and fix it. That was cool. I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, computers, desks, right. So suffice to say that that part has always intrigued me. I am very, very out of touch with that side of my experience. But when people ask me for help, I'm generally conceptually good at it. I really like, when I worked tech support, one of my favorite jobs was working with people who were open-minded and willing to learn, even though they were frustrated that their system their setup wasn't cooperating for them. And so there were the odd time that you could actually teach somebody something new. Okay. Yeah, that was a whole lot of ramble to get nowhere. I apologize. So, ads are dangerous. We're going to have ads. And what I mean by dangerous is just more that they're annoying, and Tom Holland has a weird delay that I don't understand, so I have to figure out what's going on with that guy. Let me see. Alerts. Is there another way for me to do this? Not particularly, because the website is just as delayed as the app. Viewer intent, what's the word? Concert? Yes, that's the word. So if I change this one for that one, we'll see what happens. Okay, so in the screen, you can see we're starting to work on Gilderoy Lockhart and his dueling outfit. The legs are not printed, but the torso is. So I don't know how well you guys can see that on screen. Let me just see if I can rotate that a little bit. So his arms are not printed, but they've spent a good amount of time on the printing on his outfit. Ooh, I forgot I could do this. Duh. Yeah, that's way better than me zooming in. Alright, so yeah, they do have all of this element on the outfit. Now, this is, for those of you familiar with the movie, he's got a glove on his dueling hand. That's why it's gray. He's not Luke Skywalker, which would be kind of frightening, but yeah, that's his original hand. It's just that he's got a glove on it, and so that's why they made it gray. Okay, so I'm gonna go over this way, and they put on a vest, or not a vest, a cape, and his rather arrogant head. So he's dual-sided as well. So I will try and show you that head. Yeah. So we'll zoom this puppy. Oh. Hello. And then we'll move him down and spin it around. So yeah, you can see he's got two expressions to work with. The ad running in the corner, for those that can hear. Wow, that was so not working. Okay, so yeah, the delay on the Tangia thing was dreadful. Welcome back. Right, so the delay on that's dreadful. I have to remember to change that. So yeah, there's Gilderoy's head. I'm gonna let him stay with his arrogant look because I don't have a whole lot of Gilderoys. I think I might have one in a bookshop, in which case, if that's the situation, then I will rotate this one to the more frightened head. And I don't off the top of my head know whether that's a new print for him or if it's a reuse of the one from Chamber of Secrets. So I have to look into that at some point. I will admit I enjoy the Lego enough that I don't necessarily worry about those particular things. And he's got a wand as well. And I just put it aside, didn't I? What did I do with it? I absentmindedly put it away. That's okay. I'll get him one of the taken apart versions. And here we are. So he's going to get his wand, and then we shall move on. I do like that, although I did the dark wand must be Draco thing, and I cannot seem to get this one to stick. I do like that, although I did that dark wand must be dark character type of thing, technically, for those of you that are not unfamiliar with this one, Gilderoy might as well have a dark wand. That would be a huge giveaway. And I will say LEGO does a good job of giving a variety of wands to their characters. Okay, and this one seems to be kind of stiff in that hand, so I don't really want to force it because I really don't want to have what I'm now calling the Harry effect, where I have snapped his hand. But yeah, that's an older Harry, and I broke his hand off, and I feel really bad because it's one that I got from local workshop. So yeah, not likely to get replaced easily. Anyway, That's why I don't want to force it with Gilderoy. I don't mind that his hair doesn't want to stay straight easily. Some of them do stay straight well, like Harry's did, but these plastic ones often don't. I don't mind because you find out in the movie that Gilderoy is a wig user, which is kind of funny. Just in that it's part of his image. I'd love to know what Gilderoy's supposed original hairline was, but, you know, that's not critical to the story, so they're not going to bother with it. Okay, next. Yes, I get this. Come on. Here we go. Okay. So it looks like we've got a little fireplace to show off the shield shape of the set. The shield shapes are what... Yeah, we don't know... the reason we find out about Gilderoy's wig usage is that as later in the series, as Gilderoy is trying to pack up and leave when he gets asked to deal with the chamber, and he wants to run away, and Harry catches him, he's in the process of clearing his desk and grabbing wigs off of it. There's little like heads with wigs on them, or what, head shapes with wigs on them, and he grabs the heads and stuffs them in a suitcase because he doesn't want Harry to see them. But where am I going with that? Yeah. Anyway, in all the sets, not in all the sets, in a lot of the sets previously, we had, you can almost tell the age of the set, actually, by the thing in it. So in the earlier sets, so we had a bunch of these purple tiles that have individual little collectible logos on them. You're supposed to be able to collect them and trade them. Truth is, because I'm not part of a LEGO group locally, I've never been able to trade them, so I don't have the entire set. Meh. That one's not a big deal. Weirdly enough, I'm more into collector cards than I am those. I love having them. I like having different ones, but making a point of going and finding someone to trade with wasn't high on my list of priorities. Whereas in this round of sets, I think 2024 started it, but I think there's some in 2025 as like specifically, where the new thing is shield shapes. We've had a couple of sets with the shield shapes on before, and they're integrating them into the sets that we build. I'm just gonna see if I've got one over my shoulder here. That one? Yes. So for example, when we built the potions classroom, which, if I can remember how it hinges up, okay, there we go. We built the potions classroom. We actually had one on the side here. You can sort of, there it is. I made a mess, but that's okay. You can sort of see on the wall the potions ingredients. You can see on the wall that there is a wizard poster or shield shape. And we've got another one in this set. And yeah. Whoops. So I got things falling out of cauldrons and ingredients falling out of buckets, but that's okay. You know, we can put them back. But anyway, they've got the shield shapes in this set, so that's what they're working with now, is the collectible shields. I don't know if I have any repeats because, as I said, I'm not huge into collecting them. Oh, I don't want to lose that. But also, if they're integrated into the picture, I'm far less likely to care about trading them because it's fine the way it is. There we go. Okay. So this blob is supposed to be able to slide into the current version of Hogwarts Great Hall. Excuse me. But because I already had a version of the 2018 Great Hall that I quite like, and it's not better or worse than the other one, but there's enough similarities between the two that I really don't feel it's worth it to bother spending the money on the new one. However, I'm on the fence about it because while the main hall, you know, it's like a hall, great, you know, whatever. Well, now two things have occurred. One, I don't actually have a sort of backdrop setting for this particular dueling set. It's recommended in the instructions to, there we go. Yeah. So on this top section on the right hand side here, you can see they've got our dueling set, and then they recommend sliding it in to the hall in place of a lot of the seating section in the center part of the hall. The center section, I mean, it's great, but I didn't really need that. The shaping is actually very similar to the one I've got. But then on the bottom, you can see here, that's the potions classroom. and they suggest it fits underneath. So it's a bigger sort of build. You can slide other things into it. You'd have to take out some of the spacing and stuff, like the I think it's Slytherin common room down there. Not entirely sure. And then down here is the bathroom that had the troll in the bathroom part near the dungeons. But you can pull that out in the center section here, and that's where they put the Transfiguration classroom with McGonagall, I believe it is. No, sorry, not McGonagall. That's Charms classroom with Flitwick. So I'm tempted by this version, but the other thing is I don't like taking stuff apart to put in new things. So I'm kind of on the fence about that. I mean, the classrooms aren't a big deal because you spread them out and they look cool on their own. But this dueling set needs a bit of a backdrop, so I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do there. If I did end up purchasing a set like this, what I would probably do actually is, in this case, it would be leave this one mostly intact, including the dinner scene up top, and then take the old version I had and put the dueling set in there. The width is the same, I did check that. So it would fit, and then that it means I don't have to take as much of this scene apart. But that's an if, maybe, you know, it's not super high on my list because, of course, spending money for duplicated scenes kind of bugs me. That said, though, I do have multiples of some scenes, pardon me, because they were very, very different. For example, the one that comes to mind right now is the Room of Requirement. I have duplicates of that technically, but there's such different scenes in the movie series that you don't actually end up with duplication. So, for example, we've got one from movie 4, I think? Is it 4 or 5? One of the two. I think it's 5, actually. Where you've got Dumbledore's army learning to practice their spells. And then I've got one from movie 8, where you've got, it's a very different shape, and you've got the trio, well, some of the trio running around in there, trying to look for Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem in the Room of Requirement, and getting chased by a big snake-shaped fiend fire. So we had a brick-built snake in that one, which was interesting. Very, very orange. Like, it's definitely not Zerk approved. But I mean, fire that is Zerk approved is few and far between. They don't do the soul flame colors in Harry Potter's world. Now, for those of you that are aware of it, you've probably heard of the Hogwarts Legacy game, and some of you may have played it, some of you may have seen it, or watched videos about it or whatever. But anyways, I was watching a neat video last night on YouTube where a channel called Harry Potter Theory, who does like the game, but was debating whether or not it could be considered canon, and was discussing what is canon.
Class, pay close attention.
And
I will now demonstrate the physics of blank.
And so it's kind of interesting how that works, because some of that game is likely to be considerable as canon. It seems to fall into the weird gray area, sort of started by Star Wars, where things are kind of canon until they're not, if that makes any sense. So it's not necessarily fan material, but it works. And although Rowling wasn't directly involved in the storyline and the character creation and all that jazz, the overarching part of it is she had to give Warner Brothers the rights to approve it, and Warner Brothers did. But also in the Hogwarts Legacy game, they were very, very careful to try not to retcon things and to not collide, like come up with things that really didn't work in the Potter world. Aside from, depending on whether or not you think it's canon, the main story itself. Okay, so I'm holding this up so that you guys can see, maybe, well, sort of. That top part is a fuzzy, or let me see if we can do it otherwise, a fuzzy look at the shield piece for this set. I'm trying to see, how can I do this? Maybe that, that'll work. Let's just throw this on here. These two don't belong together, but I'm trying to use it to block enough stuff. get it to focus. Maybe? Maybe? Maybe not. I don't know. There we go. That's the one I got in this set. I have no idea who it is. Absolutely no idea. But yeah, so that's how we're showing off the piece this time. Okay. So now we're making more of a mechanism. And yellow. I'm going to assume we're going to do this twice, but the nice part about these Lego sets compared to, using the Lego app, compared to, excuse me, doing it with the paper stuff, is that it will show you the set of instructions twice, rather than, say, do this 2 times, like 2x. Now, for me, that works well. I'm not entirely sure that would work well for everybody. But if it's something that we're going to be doing twice, then that's great. And when there are variations, like mirroring, then I could see it having a separate set of instructions. But if you're doing something like Dadcraft73 was doing, where you're mishmashing multiple sets together and you really have to go hunting for the parts, or even if you just have a big set where you have to go hunting for the parts, I'm gonna bet this is like this. Yep, there we go. Okay. So, when you're really doing that, it's nice when we happen to notice the 2x in advance. Yay, immortalized on film doing that. Wonderful. It's nice when we notice the 2x, I shouldn't say in advance, but as we go, because a minimum, either we can be doing it twice as we go, or we can be setting aside the parts, so that when you do it, it fits, or not fits, you've got the parts ready to rock. Okay, so this will go in there. Okay, I'm just going to back this one up one step, and rotate. Yeah, okay, it just sits in. Oh, it doesn't, okay, it presses in. Yeah, okay. It's not a moving part that needs to press in. That's what I was looking for. Okay, now, it's interesting because a lot of other builds on this app, they actually show you it in flat as a separate step, but I'm not going to complain because, I mean, we have other steps that are too much, right? We talked about that before. After we get through this one, we've got brick heads to do. It's just a Harry Potter and Cho Chang in Quidditch uniforms. And then we're back to some non-Lego builds, I think. Partly for a money save, but partly for the fact that they've been kicking around the house for a while. And we need these things built. Now, I'm not going to be doing Metal Earth on camera because we realize that's a big fail. It's just too soft. I'm going to do them for myself, but they're just too soft. And the other thing is, every once in a while, I want to say an unfamily-friendly word when one of those Metal Earth pieces is not cooperating for me. And I don't want to do that on camera either, clearly. Okay, so this makes more sense to me. Yeah, now things are sliding, and they're not coming apart, so I can now see how this would work better. So, when we get to the point where it's actually like starting to cover these zones, which is probably next, then I'll see if I can explain how this works quite carefully. Times 2. What? Oh, okay. So we're going to do this thing times 2. Gotcha. So I'm going to set this over here. We've got so squares with these. You know, I might just do them at the same time if it lets me. This one. And this one. Okay. On the same side. That was what I was wondering about. Yes, okay, you can... Okay, yeah. I see what it's doing. So you can speed it up across the top. This is another part I like. So when you've got duplicates and you're doing the thing twice, then you can just say, yep, I got it. We got them all. We can skip to the next one. You don't need to show me again. But if you don't do that, then you can go step by step all the way through and get both of them shown to you one at a time. So that works well in the duplication thing that I was talking about earlier. And there we go. Yeah, so it's two of the same. Nothing exciting there. All right. So these clips will be probably where your figures are standing. And they clip into these little yellow bits on the side. Ooh, I felt that. Okay. So what happens here, I can definitely show this part now. So what happens here is, let's push in. Yeah, push this one in. Now what it does, it pushes back on the red section. When we clip this in, it's because it's flat. So it pushes back on the red section, right? And then I'm going to clip the other one in. Oh, nope, can't right now. Yeah, I guess I could. So they're both clipped in with the red section back, and this has the bottom pieces pushing out. Okay, I'm just going to chuck, let's stick Harry on here. And we'll stick Draco on the other side. Okay, and there's the magic, right? Now, when you press one of these in, the red section will shove forward and unclip the bit we just built from the little yellow section. I'm going to try and hold this still to do that. We go, boop, and it shoves Draco and his little base right off the system at the moment. Now, I don't know if that's going to, I think it's going to fly out sideways because we're going to cover up those bits. But clearly, of course, if Draco was winning, I'm just going to throw it there for a second, then we can hold it on and we'd shove Harry out the other way. So that's the playability feature of this system. Let's push these back out. It's lodged in. So once we get everything put together, we won't be able to push the things out from the inside, of course. You'd either have to pull them from the underneath, or you'd have to just have them push the piece back as you snap in the top section. Now I get to put the cool panels on. Okay, so we've got two purple panels. The lovely moon section in the middle. Ooh, I like that. And if they're printed well, the moon lines up. Now let me just see how well we did here. Aha, ours works great. I've seen one on a video where unfortunately that person was a little offset.
Pay close
and the moon didn't look
attention.
right in the center,
I will now
but this one looks
demonstrate
really,
the
really
physics
good.
of blank. Fantastic Sherlock Fox says, stepping on Lego bricks.
I was curious how Fantastic Sherlock Fox or anyone else might answer that last black card, because the pay close attention, I will now demonstrate the physics of blank. It's the physics of part that makes it our world-ish, but in a Harry Potter sense, it totally reminded me of Flitwick trying to teach the Wingardium Leviosa with the swish and flick. Okay, so now we have the stitching that goes down the side. Ooh, I like that. Sorry, still muted. So I like the moon center. I think I talked about that it matches up quite nicely in the print. We've seen ones where it's been offset in the print and the video person was not impressed. But aside from there being a weird texture difference, and I know I'm getting fingerprints on it, the side bits where it's printed purple seems to be a little bit of a textural difference, although it could just be my fingers are still recovering from a minor frostbite. But it seems to have like a minor texture difference, and the center is shiny. Other than that, it looks great. Like, it doesn't even pick up the light all that differently. You're seeing my fingerprints, but still. But it is quite nice how it's got the stitching. You can see like little grommets all the way along and little leather lacing. I love that level of detail. I'm really pleased they spent the frames on that, even though they could have spent it on more of a set, like a setting to put it in. I like that they, because it's meant to go inside the other castle or the other build, that they've spent the time on some details and functionality that really give it some pizzazz. Okay. Yeah, so now in the pictures above, they're just demonstrating the exact same thing I just showed you. So you put your figure on the end and they're going to get chucked off, right? We don't really have to go through that again, but that's what that's all about. So we'll just push the purple section straight out, and then we can fix it by putting it back in. Clearly. Okay. So these two are extra, and that's the end of that one. Oops. So we have our, this one, can I clip them on enough? Yes. Okay. This one, I can tip it this way. Got that. And then we've got our two professors standing by. And Lockhart in his infinite, I don't know, non-wisdom? Stupidity? Whatever. Oh, whoops. What? Okay. And then we have the infamous snake. So I'll just, oh, interesting. Okay, so this is just the little snake they had. It's difficult to get it to show correctly. It does have some crisscross hatching on its system. And then on the back, it actually has the flat spots where you can see it was molded. But there's also, it's neat because it's got straight lines across as opposed to a repeat of what's on top. That's kind of neat. I've got them in other colors, I think. But this one is the green. Oh, geez. This one's the green. Come on, autofocus. Speed up. This is part of why I like the newer camera, because it autofocuses faster. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So then when you have it standing up, you can just put the snake on top, you know? And that's all she wrote for that one. And then of course we have the little fireplace that goes with everything. Now, I'm going to see if this set has, rate the set, no thank you. Home. I'm just going to see if this set has the brickheads we're looking for. And we can get a bit of a start on that in the next few minutes here. That. Search for sets. What set number is this other one? Looks neat. Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It doesn't have a home yet. It'll be interesting to see how I get it sorted out. Okay, this is 40616. 40616. Yay, okay. This one. So this is one that's set up well for build together because it's the two brickheads. Obviously there's only one of me, but it's the sort of thing that if you were working with someone else, you could break it up clearly. The build together feature is kind of cool in the app. Oops, let's put these down here. It's kind of cool in the app because you can set, what's that name? Here we go. If I can think of the words while I type, it'll help. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, and that's centered enough. Okay, stream info. I'm just going to change this one up. Brickheads. Probably 2 words, but oh well. Brickheads. Sure, I'll go with that. Done. Alright. Hey Draco. Good timing. Good timing. Welcome on in. Welcome, welcome. So if you're not familiar with me, excuse me, my name is Duelling, and I usually do a bunch of Minecraft stuff and some other FPS games, but I actually love doing Lego, so we've got a Make Monday where I do Lego when I can, and then other times I do like other builds, so as in we did a wooden lantern not that long ago. But we just finished the Dueling Club, so I'm going to switch over and do the brickheads. Now I have these two, that's in this box. I've built these two, Nymphadora Tonks and Kingsley Shacklebolt, but I do not yet own Cedric Diggory and Draco Malfoy. They were really easy to get for a while when these two weren't. But if you couldn't get Harry and Cho, then I really wasn't as interested in the other two. And of course, now that I've got Harry and Cho, can't get the other ones. You know, life is like that. And since I don't believe we've met before, Draco, if you're willing, I would love to hear what caught your attention and had you stop on by. Ah, they've done it that way. Okay. This will be interesting. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Alright. Because we did a set with a good theme to it, I think I'm going to start with Cho, just because it makes life a little easier. You know, keep the anticipation one for later. So, and I know a lot of people are not huge Brickheads fans, which is a challenge and a half. Sorry for clearing the throat. But yeah, not everybody's a fan of that one, so let's pick this puppy. Yep, we're gonna go over there. Thank you. Oh, this is going to be, okay, this is mostly a run of, like a photo, might as well be a PDF, I guess is my point, of just the booklets, but that's fine. I would have done it as a PDF anyways, so we're not missing anything. So we need to do a bag 2. But which one? Is it all the bag 2? Okay, let's start with big one. Oh yeah. Yeah, I love the dueling set. It's beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. I don't have a set, like a setting to put it in, because I didn't actually buy that version of, like the current version of the Great Hall. Okay, this one. Oh, don't need that. Silly me. Okay, so let's explode this one. Yeah, it's a neat build. I like it. I like the mechanism. I like the mechanism that they have in there to make the characters pop off the situation. I like the inclusion of a snake, and which is very different than the Nagini you see later. I like that as well, because they could have cheated and just reused Nagini. And let's set this one off to the side, just in case. I think it's part of this one, but hard to see. That's right. Yeah, we're just, okay, standard PDF. That's fine. Can't blame them. I mean, Brickhead's being done as a regular thing. Let's just rock and roll into it, and then if we end up with too much trouble, we'll resort the pieces. I do like that they had that, and the printing on my copy was great. I think they fixed whatever it was that was plugging the content creator I was watching, because they got an early release copy, approved but early release, even because they wanted their video to come
Hey
out
Draco_Markham, thanks for hitting that follow button.
Sorry, let me correct that. So Lego wanted this person's video to be able to come out day 1. And if they didn't give this person the copy in advance, of course they couldn't get everything filmed. So I can follow that. Lego, what do they call them? There's a different word for that. It's a... I can't remember what it is. There's a special, there's like a, basically, not really a club, but a special club. Thank you very much for the follow, by the way. I appreciate that. There's a special club that some members are part of, or some people are part of, that lets you showcase stuff, I guess. In a way, it's like a partnership with Lego. And that's great, but there are a lot of rules, what you can and can't do. And the gist of it is often that you cannot discuss videos or build things or whatever, or showcase it, stream it, anything, before launch day, right? And you also can't be talking about leaks, which is reasonable in my mind. However, I do understand that by not being able to talk about these things in advance, you can't get the jump on the other channels that will, the ones that are not so careful. And that can be very frustrating to content creators. I just do this for kicks. Like, I love building the sets, so I'm not going to be showcasing stuff or talking about it in advance or talking about investing in things or, you know, what's coming up, what's retired, unless I'm building a set that's retired. You know, like, that's really all it is. But I can see where some of these other guys get stuck. That said, sometimes the resulting effect is when you get something a little bit early off the presses from Lego, they haven't always ironed out all the bugs of the production process. And so what had happened with this one particular creator was that they unfortunately got a set where the prints on the center section of the dueling, I guess, I'm going to say dais, but it's not, I'm going to say platform, were a little bit offset, and so their central moon in the middle of the dueling platform didn't line up quite right. And they weren't entirely impressed with that, but they didn't call Lego badly. They just said, "Oh, okay. I hope they get this figured out before it comes to mass production." And in my set, it appears they have, so I'm happy with that. So that's really all it was to say that. And I liked the multiple different faces. There's always some good faces. I don't know what's new prints. I'm not great at catching that in terms of head shapes or head prints or torso prints. I mean, if the brands make a new version of character, like Gilderoy Lockhart had a new outfit, well then yes, clearly we can catch that. But something about whether or not pieces have been reused, not my forte. So it's kind of funny because people say, "Do you have the Harry Potter that blah blah blah?" I'm just like, I don't know, maybe. Let me look. And frequently I'm wrong, so yeah. That's okay, it's all good. I like having the various different versions of the characters, but it's part of it when I missed out on the individual collector sets for, not individual collectors, sorry, the like blind polybags concept for the Harry Potter characters and the Fantastic Beasts characters, or at least didn't get much of it. Yes, I feel disappointed for characters that I wanted to get, but for the most part, it didn't really bother me that much because if I had copies of the character already, yay. If I didn't, boo, you know? That's about as far as it went. Although my local secondhand brick shop, excuse me, is one that I will peruse from time to time and see whether or not they have some of the ones that I didn't have, but it's a character I didn't have. And occasionally I'll get a hit, you know, as in I have multiple Dumbledores that I've picked up from there that I'm aware I did not have that version of Dumbledore before. So that's one of the things I go hunting for, but I'm not a, you know, must go every weekend kind of person, because that just, I mean, Lego, on the whole, I love it, but it gets expensive. Especially since I'm not, as you can clearly see, of an age that does a whole lot of playing with it. I'm not even all that, of late at least, not even all that great at setting up a half decent diorama for it, with it, like with the Lego characters posed properly. I intend to, but then things get shoved around on the shelves and they don't end up where you want them. Excuse me. So, you know, I've got a lot of improving to do, but the room is a mess. That's the biggest thing right now, is I have sets that could be displayed better that are just sitting on a side table, quite literally just to the side of my camera. Others, yep, nope, that side, that's right. Sitting to the side, and they need to be put somewhere else. Okay, does this one go? Oh, both hands are down this one. Okay. Frequently when you're doing brickheads, for some reason,
Fantastic Sherlock
they
Fox
seem to
says,
want to make
15
you
minutes to the top of the hour,
one down, one up.
Dellen. Jade, Miki, and Jen Fire are all live.
Perfect. Thanks, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. That really helps. Go. So frequently they'll have one down and one sort of sticking out in a different angle, so they can give them something for a wand or an accessory. And they didn't on this one. There we go. And so I'm not a huge Brickheads fan. A lot of the Brickheads that are made by Lego's designers, they're kind of ugly, to be honest with you. But certain iconic characters I like to have. So for example, there is no way I'm interested in, say, a Dobby Brickhead. I don't know if there was one. I thought there was, but I know I did not like the more statuesque style. That was definitely not working for me. But I did pick up the Hagrid and Buckbeak one. Well, Fantastic Sherlock Fox is almost exclusively my purchaser. But we did get the Hagrid and Buckbeak set, and I like that. I think I've got Ron. I didn't get Harry and Hermione in black robes. I missed out on that one. There's a few of those. I'm not necessarily into completionism on those ones. If I get good characters, great. But if I don't, eh. So a lot of the ones I do have here, like Kingsley Shacklebolt, is one that I didn't see elsewhere, and I think they did a good job with. And I'm glad to have Nymphadora Tonks done that way. But as I said, it's not one where I'm going to be going completionist on it. And there's a lot of sets outside of the basic. The basic. There's a lot of sets outside of Harry Potter that I actually find their brickheads are ugly. Totally ugly. For the most part, I'm okay with the ones that we get for, say, like Iron Man looked pretty cool. That was not bad. I liked... There's a good number of the ones I liked from the sort of Winnie the Pooh type series. Like, as in, I do quite like the Eeyore one. And so, I mean, if I was to go outside of Harry Potter, that might be one I'd be looking for. Stitch as a brickhead was okay, but Stitch as a bigger build was terrible. You know, that sort of thing. But we have to be careful because, I mean, some of the statuesque ones were fine if you start extending into, say, Star Wars. And some of them were absolutely awful. So, for example, I like these sort of statuesque R2-D2 looks cool. It wasn't a brickhead, but it's more of a statue style. But I did not like the Chewbacca. Like, that was just awful and then some. And very much similar to the way I was not a fan of the Dobby statues. Those just, I don't, really just don't work for me. Okay. But, on the other hand, I like the C-3PO one. I would not buy it because I'm not into Star Wars Lego myself. And my son is not into the statue style. But it looked half decent. It wasn't great, but it looked half decent. You know? And as I said, with other sets, you wonder, what were they thinking? Just because sometimes when you do something in a different scale, whether it be a brickhead or whether it be a larger statue, you have to be careful of the scale. And what I mean by that is, we acknowledge that with the brickheads, you could almost describe them as dumpy and frumpy. You know, they're hefty. Or what was the word I heard the other day? They're thick. Yeah, there you go. But there's characters that you do not want to have that look on. It would just be awful. Like Eeyore would look great, right? But maybe Dobby would look terrible, you know? Whereas there's the other opposite problem. If you were to make Hagrid into one of the statuesque types, that would be awful because he would look long and lanky. And regardless of who you have acting it, even in the way that Hagrid was described in the original books, he was definitely not long and lanky. He's a very solid individual. Filled out. And yet, it would not work. So that would be one that if such a set was ever produced, I would have probably very little interest in. Now, I mean, it's possible that LEGO might actually build it well. I don't expect much, you know? So there's pros and cons all around, I guess. For another example of where things can go a little bit awry, if you take a look at Star Wars sets, they've got helmets from some of the from some of the characters, I guess, and styles. Like there's this generic Stormtrooper helmet. There's a Vader helmet, and I'm trying to remember what some of the other ones are. I think there's a specific Stormtrooper one as well. But then they've also got Leia. Her persona, I guess, her disguise as another bounty hunter, Boosh. They did the helmet for that one, and I really didn't like that one. Part of my reasoning for not liking that one was that the Boosh... what did I do here? Get this one. The Boosh helmet, to me, was very flat. Or proportionally got messed up. I was thinking if you were going to make a helmet for a character, that it would be reasonable to make the helmet look like, theoretically, if you had a statue of the character, you could put the helmet on it. But these ones are kind of squashed weirdly. They're like too narrow, I guess. And with that too narrow effect, it just made them something about the way they were done after that looked somewhat unappealing. I wish I could put a finger on it, but unfortunately not. Oops, no, that's not gonna work. Okay. Ah. I involuntarily stick my knees together when I pop a piece off because I'm used to accidentally making them fly across the room or dropping them on the floor. Okay, watching the time here, we are easily sub 10, so probably about like 8 minutes left. I don't know if I'll be able to get this one done in that time. We might just stop, but we'll push through to see, because there's a lot of parts here. And if I'm really close, I might just finish. But don't want to go a ton of overtime today. I always say that, and then things may happen, they may not. I mean, technically I started late, but that's no excuse, because I shouldn't be starting late. Exactly. Now, I mean, if your cat saw one, and you could make use of that, because the cat would alert you to where it went, excellent. But I'm pretty sure that would mean the cat would either A, pick it up and risk eating it, which is bad for the cat, or B, take off with it, in which case you wouldn't have the piece. So, yeah. Yeah, they steal it. Yeah, as long as they don't swallow it, I guess, but it does put a hamper in your building process. Okay, so let's see how far we can get here. Excuse me, itchy nose. This one. I'm not always scratching and whatnot, trying really hard not to these days, but unfortunately, just this head cold makes me super itchy, and we've talked about me joking around earlier that I might be allergic to my streaming. I mean, the reality is probably that is part of my room rearrangement. When I'm done that, I should give the whole place a thorough dusting. Because, yeah, I should probably get an air compressor in here and clean off the Lego. Because I don't know when the last time was I've dusted it. So it could be 2018, maybe? The Lego specifically, not the rest of the room. That's just gross. Although, you know, it's not high priority at the moment. I think this is the hood to the Quidditch robes, which is pretty cool. And we'll go on the back of the character on this white stud section here. There we go. Excuse me. So then we're on to the second section, this one and that one. Thing about doing Lego on stream, we've talked about this before. I'm not a huge one for stopping to be a hand talker, but I can get very, very distracted and either lose my place, or I don't know, get off on a tangent, and somehow everything takes longer. And I can't exactly put my finger on precisely why, but it always takes longer to build anything. I think it's probably because I pause to show off stuff. Maybe that's what it is. So when you're doing things yourself at home, you can, get your face really close to pieces and bring them right up, and then that's it, right? You don't have to show it off. It's not like you're saying, hey, look at this, to whoever happens to be in the room with you. If you're that kind of person, they'll probably go, what are you, 10? Okay, so this one goes on top of that. We might be able to make this work. Maybe. We'll see. You can start to see across the bottom, because it's the little booklet, if you're following the story, we've got, I'm trying to point at it on my tablet, which is dumb, but you're not going to see it. Let's go up here. There we go. There's a stud that seems to be creeping across the bottom of the page. So as you go further, on the left-hand pages, I'm just going to yeah, so you can start to see, where is it here? 19? Okay. So 18 was when we had them on the even side pages, but it crawls along, showing us our progress bar. 7, 28, 29. So that's where we've just finished. And then 30 doesn't have it because that bar's full. So on the 31 page, there'll be another progress piece. This one and that one. Just for those of you that are curious, how close are we to the end? There we are, so we're pretty close. Might be worth pushing through, looking at the number of bits I've got here. It's not a lot, actually. And my autofocus went to lunch, but that's okay. We'll play with it. I know Fantastic Sherlock Fox was also having issues with getting his focusing just right, and his technology level and stuff. So we'll see what happens. For what's March? April, I guess. For April, there will be a stream weekend. I will be probably playing a game. I don't know if it's going to be more of the modded Minecraft or if it's going to be like Foundation or something. We'll see what my mood's like as we get closer to the date. I can't say, but it's on the 12th and 13th. I'm on the 12th, closing out the day. So Dadcraft unfortunately has something to do that day. So I will be closing out that slot for him. And then earlier in the day, hopefully, Fantastic Sherlock Fox is intending to stream as well. So we'll see how it goes. You were in audio purgatory. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So anyhow, I will say I love the brain thing that they do with these. Like, their necks are always some bizarre color, but then they have a brain inside, like, by always using a pink block. That's kind of a cool touch. There's absolutely zero reason to do so. I mean, technically these things don't even have to be solid, but LEGO loves to make them solid, so kudos to them on that one. We've got Cho's black broom with dark brown bristles that goes in her hand. I'm really glad they didn't try to make the robes look like she's riding a broom, because that would just, it's got far too much potential for things to go wrong and to look wrong. Yeah. Here, I guess I should turn it that way. You're seeing a bit of a weird angle rather than what they're showing on the screen. I'd love to do it that angle, but coming over from in front of me, it's not going to work. Over top would be nice, but that has its disadvantages as well. Okay, this one. Oh, this. Hey. Two, and I have really icky fingers today, so apologies for all the fingerprints you guys are seeing. I don't know what it is, but I'm just got really fingers that are being very oily. I think it's probably because they're still trying to heal. So for anybody who wasn't here, a couple weeks ago I was out at scout camp, and it was easily below freezing, and so we were out and about in the snow, in the cold, and I got my fingertips a little bit frozen trying to make dinner. So yeah, they still feel kind of weird. I came home and the next day I tried to play Heave Ho on the Switch. Yeah, bad idea. I've still got some, it feels kind of like it's sort of a callus, but it's not really, and it's poking in. It gives me really bizarre sensations on the end of my finger. This is concerning. Okay, we have a lot of little extra bits that, okay, this one I have to actually pay attention, is actually part of the base plate. This one, and this one. Okay, yeah, now we're down to bits I consider reasonable for spares, so that's fine. This stuff adds up. I had to buy a new container to start sorting, because this nonsense does add up after a while. I mean, I could probably build my own mock brick heads. That would probably work, but I just have never really thought about it. Yeah, frostbite is rough. I've had a little bit before, and usually it's just the fingertips, but I was going to, like, I do protect my hands the vast majority of the time, but it's difficult when you're trying to make shish kebabs with raw ingredients, and then you have to cook them over a fire, and then, you know, eat them. Well, you're not going to eat with cloth gloves on. That's just not going to work. And you're not going to touch ingredients with those gloves on. Even if I put nitrile gloves over top. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Adds. Even if I put nitrile gloves over top, it still is awkward, and your sensations of gripping things is really out to lunch. So, today's builds in summary. I'm just going to write the instructions just so we can get everything on the table. So here's Cho Chang. We've got her done. And then we've got a little fireplace. And we've got Snape. And Lockhart. Apologies for the bad autofocus. I'll try and see if I can get that to sort itself out. And then I'm going to show you this one this way. I'm going to pull these two off. So we've got Harry and Draco, along with their I would say worm, but it's a snake. It looks kind of worm shade. So we've got those two. And that's our grand set for the day. We had some fun. I enjoyed the build very, very much. Next week, so on Monday, next week I will finish off with the Harry Potter for the brick built stuff. And we will look at probably doing... What do I got here? Yeah. We'll probably look at doing either a polybag or launch straight into the wood build. So it's definitely more of a makers and crafting week next week. This week, on Wednesday, we will be doing some more Minecraft, I believe. And it will be the modded Minecraft on Dadcraft73 server with the ocean block setup. And I'll probably continue with the slow sing setup that I was working on last week. I didn't finish it, I just froze it, and we'll just see where it goes. So, from here, we have some great people. So let's take a look at who the rateables are. Okay. Ooh, we have quite a few, actually. So let's just see if I can figure out how long each of them's been up. Just so that we don't end up doing a turnaround raid. I tend to go most likely to someone that does Minecraft just because that's where my sort of base of operations is. Even though I do 3 different things right now. The community I'm with is mostly Minecraft. That said, if we can get someone who does Minecraft and Lego, that might be ideal, which means most likely we're going to be going to Maribel Jade, because her styling is a little similar to mine. Yeah. So if you're into more Lego news direction and some goofiness and wildness that's not really my personal style, so more of a jarring changeover, definitely check out, as in all one word, The Local Brick Shop. I'm trying to figure... Don't think I can do a shout out easily on that one at the moment. But then we're going to head over to Maribel Jade. She says, today is the day, well, a day. She's playing on Truly Bedrock, but she does have a built another step redeem while she plays, so that's where we're going to head. I just need to make sure I mute that because I accidentally pressed the button. Oops. Okay, there we go. So let's start a raid over there. Over to Maribel Jade.
Mischief managed.
Ah, thanks Fantastic Sherlock Fox for catching that. So if you're into Lego stuff, I recommend the local brick shop. If you're into Minecraft with a little taste of Lego from time to time, we're going to head over to Maribel Jade. So, I want to say thanks to everybody for hanging out this week, and thank you to Draco for the new follow. I appreciate that very much. Thanks to Fantastic Sherlock Fox and Mama Bear for being our moderators this week. We had a good chat from them, as well as Draco and Maribel Jade and Local Brick Shop got listed, but I think we're just going to go to Jade. So have yourselves an absolutely fantastic day. We shall see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye for now.
Transfer complete.